On this episode of the Late Night Startup Show, we were speaking with Ifrah Khan, founder of Usit, an on-demand babysitting app connecting college student sitters to households in their area. But we want to tell you about our giveaway once again. We're giving away a pair of Apple AirPods over on our Instagram page at the Late Night Startup. We're going to announce the winner on April 27th. So go find the giveaway post on Instagram and be sure to put your name in the hat. It's just 3 steps you got to follow. The post is over on Instagram. And of course, we'd like to thank our sponsors, RCR Video Marketing Group, an Atlanta-based multifaceted video production company creating compelling content to fast-forward your business, and Digits in Motion. Digits in Motion is a full-stack digital agency specializing in mobile app development and creating custom software solutions for startups and enterprises. There are a bunch of amazing people over there. We've used them to develop an app that we're about to launch here in the coming months. Whether you need to augment your existing staff for a bigger project or create a product from the ground up, Digits in Motion is the way to go. They're great people once again. Contact them today to help grow your business. And of course, AmazonUPCBarcodes.com. If you're new to selling products on Amazon and you realize you need barcodes, check out AmazonUPCBarcodes.com. They're the #1 source for UPC and EAM barcodes online. All their barcodes are GS1 verified, and you get a coupon code, once again, RCR Video, to get 10% off your entire purchase at AmazonUPCBarcodes.com. Now let's get into this wonderful conversation that we had with Ifrah. Ifrah, thank you so much for letting us invade your space here in Atlanta and sit down and talk about your app. I'm really excited to get to know your story a little more. Most people that I sit down with, I do a little homework on their backstory and their history. Versus with you, it's a little different. For some reason, I don't know if there's just not much out there, or if I dropped the ball on doing my homework, which may be the case. But let's start with just tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and why you went into developing your app.
Okay, so I'm Ifrah. I'm from Tampa, Florida. I actually went to Emory University. That's why I'm here in Atlanta. And at my time at Emory, I babysat a lot. I was in a sorority. We had a babysitting Facebook page. And while I was babysitting, I saw a really big divide. I saw a lot of obstacles parents went through in getting babysitting gigs, and also just students looking for babysitting gigs and trying to get more. It was just there was a lot of obstacles involved, and I saw those obstacles and I wanted to do something about it. I saw that Care.com, Urban Sitter, the big babysitting platforms really didn't do anything specifically aimed towards college students as well, and date night sitting. So that's where I came up with Usit. And Usit, not a lot of people know this, but the name came from university sitting. So it's just university students. And what the app does, it connects college students to households in need of sitters in the area. And we're available in Atlanta right now, and we have over 3,000 users, which includes 2,000 parents and 1,000 students in Atlanta. Wow. And we're just helping parents, especially moms, the working mom, have a less stressful life, and students really giving them more opportunities, letting them meet new families in the area, and also giving them more opportunity to make that extra money on the side.
Yeah. And what I like about your app is, it helps them make the extra money on the side, like you just said. But even being in college, you never know whose kid you may babysit. And, it's all about who you know in any industry. And you may meet, the guy that's the CEO of some big company that has a job perfect for you when you get done babysitting. So before you developed the app or had the idea, were you babysitting a lot? Or?
So I babysat a few times, especially over the summer of my sophomore year when I was interning in Atlanta. It was a free internship. It was for a real estate company. So I wanted to make some extra money on the side. And also, I had a lot of free time, so I wanted to do something. And there was a lot of open babysitting gigs. So that's when I started babysitting. My friend told me about it. She was doing it too. And that's how I got into it. And I also have a little brother who's 11, and I grew up raising him and having to stay home and babysit him all the time. So that's where the idea really came from.
Yeah. So were you thinking, I want to build a tech company, or were you thinking, I want to help college students babysit for money on the side?
I was thinking I want to help parents and students and really I saw that on-demand, economy, it's growing and everything's going into on-demand. And I really thought, like, why not babysitting? Why not have Usit be the middleman in connecting parents to students instead of Facebook groups and parents just going through obstacles, asking their friends. So that's really where the idea came from. And I thought, it is a problem worth solving. Childcare is, it has been it hasn't been really, the market hasn't really been looked into. It's just been care.com, Urban Sitter, and now, care and especially childcare is a big focus in the US.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, how's it going so far? I mean, I know today is April 6th.
Yeah.
And you just left your full-time job on March 30th, last Friday. That's amazing. Yeah, like you're taking the leap. I'm sure there's nerves and like just certain types of feelings that maybe are a little uncomfortable, but how's it been so far? Not necessarily since you left your full-time job, but since you felt that was the right decision to do. Because I'm sure you spent about 2 months maybe. I don't know. For me personally, I spent about 6 months thinking, okay, I'm leaving my full-time job.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. I'm doing video production full-time.
Yeah.
So how's it been?
So when I started my job, doing Usit on the side and doing the job it was a full-time job. So it was a lot of time management and really I wanted to grow Usit, but at the same time, I wanted to perform well on my job. But when you have a full-time job, it's easy to keep the company at where it is, but it's hard to grow the company. And that's where I had this, I really wanted to grow Usit, and I really think it can, I don't want it just to be in Atlanta. I want it to be nationwide. Yeah. And that's when I was like, I need to focus on it, put 100% in and see where it goes. And there's a lot of things we're changing now and doing differently, and really trying to improve our app so more parents use it. Because right now it's a lot of early adopters, and we want to make it so that every parent goes to Usit first. That's the number one babysitting app. And that's been our focus ever since I started my job. But now that I quit my job, it's been like number one priority, and just, making the app perfect so we can expand it in different cities.
Yeah. How soon do you think you would be able to expand?
I think a couple of months. If everything goes as
That's
planned.
Awesome. So you have 3,000 users now, and that's a combination between students and parents. Yeah. How does the app work? Is it people are paying a subscription fee, or just kind of walk us through that a little bit?
So our app is a little different than a lot of other babysitting platforms, which gives us a competitive advantage. So what we do is parents have full autonomy. They post a job, they put the details, they post the rate, so they pick the rate per hour. Unlike other platforms where it's just subscription fee, or paying more for a background check student, things like that, we make it easy for them. And then students actually get a notification in the area, and students set their radius. It's kind of like Tinder, where you can like set your radius for how, what jobs you see in the area. Yeah. So they get a notification about every job post in their radius, and then they have the option to apply. They look at the details. If they like the job, they apply. And then the last thing is, it's not just like Uber. They don't automatically get paired. What the parent, we want it to be safe. We want the parent to, have a good relationship with the student. So they get to look through the profile, look at the referrals, the past comments, the rating of the student.
So they're able to vet them a little bit.
Yeah. So they have the autonomy in looking at, what the student is, what school they go to, what their experience is, things like that. And then they ultimately pick the student, and that's when they can contact them, and then they can also track the student through the app when they're babysitting. And we want to implement more features, like from feedback we've been getting from parents after the job, and we're starting to do that. We're starting to improve the app, so more parents want to use the app after their third job, fourth job, fifth job.
Now, is there anything security-wise on your back end that not just any random student can sign up? Are there any background checks? Or?
Yeah. So what we do to vet the students is, right now we only choose students from specific schools, so they have to have a .edu email, and they have to be on our list of schools. And then we also, they have an option to go through a background check. And most do, just because it makes their profile stand up. Yeah. The parents see their background check, and they pay for it. But now what we're doing, starting this month, by the end of this month, is they also have to do a quiz, a mandatory quiz that they have to pass in order to be a babysitter on the app. And they're all going to be background checked. It's going to be required by the end of this month, just so we put in that extra safety net and, have those parents who are kind of hesitant to use the app really, are 100% in and really can use the app if they want a fully background check students, only background check students.
That's awesome. So switching gears a little bit, back to kind of like just the entrepreneurial mindset and spirit. Have you always had that, or did you just notice it when you felt the need that Usit was needed, that there's kind of a white space?
So I always have ideas, and I've always wanted to start a company. Ever since I was little, I've just been really into, trying to solve problems and, changing the status quo of, because you have one life. You want to, make a difference in the world. You don't want to just have a corporate job, work in finance or something like that, and just you're not really making a difference. So I've always had that, and I've always thought of that ever since I was little. And once I got to Emory, there was a lot of entrepreneurial things I was getting involved in, writing for an entrepreneurial magazine that looked at. I was on the restaurant section, so I got to research new restaurants in Atlanta and things like that. I was always interested in. So once I, had the idea of Usit, it was my sophomore year of college, so it was a long time ago. I really wanted to. I took an entrepreneurship class when I had the idea, and we got to create a business plan, do more research on it, and that's when I was like, you know what, why not? It's if I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So
when you decided to take that class, though, right now, do you find yourself using things you learned in that class in your day-to-day entrepreneurial journey?
I would say not in my day-to-day. It really helped, open my mind, the class did. But I think what's helping me in my day-to-day is just me personally, learning, reading blogs about entrepreneurship, reading about, how to launch your company, how to market your company. It's more, I feel like entrepreneurship is more of a self-learning type of journey, and also talking to different people, talking to mentors, talking to people who have gone through the same thing as you're going through, so you don't make the same mistakes as they do. And I think that's been very important. And it's probably the funnest part about being an entrepreneur is just meeting different people. And
I agree.
Just getting to know your community, your startup community, people like you, because it is such a different journey than the typical corporate route, and not a lot of people get to go through it. So
I mean, one thing we haven't talked much about on our podcast is the college debate. I mean, I interviewed the Taylor docs. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're one of the best known chiropractors in Atlanta. And obviously they needed schooling. They needed to learn the technique of their craft. But as far as the entrepreneur side of their business, just like any business, do you really need college? How important is it to go and get that education?
I personally think you do need college for, yes, the education, and also just the people you meet in college, the network you grow.
But do you think that's a hefty fine to pay for that?
It's not just that. I think the people know it's not a hefty fine to pay, but for the education and things you do learn in college really do help you, just organize yourself. You use that stuff in you're going to find a way to use, my finance classes, they've helped me with Usit. My marketing classes have helped me with Usit. So it does open your mind and give you a perspective. So I think it is necessary, but I think a different approach to it is why do people go to college? They go to get a corporate job. So that was hard for me when I was, I went to get my corporate job, and I was now I'm quitting it and I'm doing something that, why you kind of think that's why I went to college, to get a corporate job. So it is a struggle there and a divide there, but I think college is necessary just for the education and, just really for growth in yourself. But getting a corporate job after college shouldn't be the reason, shouldn't be the end goal.
Gotcha. But did your corporate job help you in Usit as well? Was there anything you could take from that?
I don't think so.
It was it was a check.
Yeah, it was just fine. It was finance. So, I mean, I don't think it helped tremendously. Maybe if I had a marketing, growth strategy job, that would help.
Yeah.
But, it just depends. For me, no, I think the best thing for Usit and having your own startup is just like building your skills yourself and maybe taking a class about like UX design or something like that.
Yeah. So you're the founder of Usit. It's just you. You don't have a partner. Correct?
So I do have a co-founder. Yeah,
okay.
I have a co-founder, and he also went to Emory.
Okay.
So we're both working on this full time, and it's been going great so far. We want to really make it, Atlanta's #1 babysitting app, but also make it the nation's #1 on-demand babysitting app.
So he's not working a full-time job
Not right now. Yeah.
Okay. Was he before, kind of similar to you, or?
No, he wasn't. So he was just, he's actually from Turkey. So he was in Turkey. He still is. And then we went to Emory. We were working on it full-time till November. And then he was still working on it, but I wasn't. So that's where the divide came.
So who's more of the big picture creator or the creative of the app and like where it's going, and who's more of like just a detail oriented numbers person?
Yeah. So we're both a little bit of both, which is good.
Interesting.
We both have like a vision for the app. We both work together and like making designs for the app, changing the app up, making the user experience better. But we also, I think you need like a founder who can do both, because in the long run, it's not one person does this, you need to work together. And especially in like a small early stage startup, it's definitely important to just have two people who can do a lot of different things.
Yeah. And is he creating the app, or you guys have a company doing
So what we do with since we're a really early stage startup, we're right out of college, we're bootstrapping.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we have a developer in Turkey and we outsource him. But now we're actually looking to bring a lead developer on the team. So we have someone who's on our team in the US working with us side by side. And we're looking to expand our development team so we can make those updates.
Okay. That's awesome. When I started developing my app, which no one really knows about yet, it was one of those things where I had the idea and like I was sitting in the car with a buddy of mine and like just out of nowhere, the idea clicked and it happened. I was like, I'm doing it, 100% doing it. And I made the decision literally within like 35 seconds. Yeah. It was so quick. And then reality starts to set in a little bit of like, I'm not in Silicon Valley. I don't have those connections to big app developers. Everyone's telling me that an app costs 100, 200 grand to make. Like it varies. And it was just became kind of daunting looking at, okay, I want to do this idea, but it's in a space that I know nothing about.
Yeah.
So did you experience any of that?
Yeah, definitely. We had no idea like what to do first. Yeah. We didn't even know like where do we start? Like how do we get a developer? Who do we talk to? We had nothing. So we just went like step by step. We looked up on the internet, like how to incorporate your company, things like that. And then we started talking to teachers and started talking to people in the entrepreneurship community, just reaching out, cold emailing, things like that. And getting to know like what we could do, because we had the same issue where none of us knew how to code.
So when you were cold emailing though, it was cold emailing for advice or
things like that, just for advice. That's what we needed. We just needed advice. We needed to know like where to start, because we had no idea. Like we were, by that time it was like first semester junior year, still didn't know anything about the startup community. I majored in finance, so I didn't know much, but the thing is like we didn't have a lot of money to pay a lot for app developers. So we were meeting with different app development companies in Atlanta and the prices were way too high. So that's when we, really decided we need to bootstrap, we need to outsource. Like this is how we're going to start it. And then moving on, we can get someone on our team and then we can actually, really establish our company.
I'm sure your finance degree too helps kind of maintain the app and keep it a little level-headed. It's easy to just throw money at problems or solutions or however you want to look at it, and not keep the big picture and the end goal. But going back to what you said about cold emailing for just advice, I think a struggle that entrepreneurs have is, they see this daunting task of creating their business and they don't have the connections. They sit down and think, okay, who can I ask for help or advice? And they don't have that network set up, and they get discouraged and they kind of shut down a little early before even trying to reach out to someone they don't know, which at the end of the day is exactly how you expand your network. it sounds like you just kind of naturally have that. Or maybe it comes from being little and like wanting
Yeah.
to change the world. You just have like this go getter, like.
Yeah, and I think like my advice would be just what I did, like start in your network, like find someone who somehow has a connection or somehow could help you, and then they might know someone who knows someone, and that's how it grows. And that's what we really did. We started with talking to our teachers, start to talk to our friends, and people will just help. Well, some people won't, but like most people will help, and they'll like connect you to somebody and things like that. So that really helps. And I think, it's all about like meeting people, finding mentors. And because when you, especially right out of college, when you don't know what you're doing, this is completely different, route a lot of other people are taking. You want to find mentors and you want to find people who have done something like this.
Yeah. What's been your biggest challenge so far?
Our biggest challenge as a company is just to really, like within the app, it's a lot of tech issues because we do have one developer. So we're trying to fix those issues and really, make the app so user friendly that people will, choose to rebook a student through the app like that. Like they won't even think twice about it. They won't like go outside the app and use the student again. And another big challenge is, I would just say, just like getting, trying to get partners and expanding and, talking to different corporations, maybe doing, packages with them, just like building the Usit network just to expand our company and grow it and get it to the next level. Because for us, it was like more of a, how Airbnb did it, like to get their first 1,000 users. We like cold messaged people. We found them through babysitting groups. And now it's kind of, we have more than that, and we need to build off of that network and just growing faster.
So how are you managing, building the Usit brand versus building the Usit user experience when they're in the app, whether it's parent or the babysitter? Just kind of walk us through that. Because I feel like, so with my app, the reason I asked is because with my app, I've been like going through it and through it and through it. I'm like, okay, this font could be a little different. I'm like, oh, what if we change this tab here and all that? And I guess sometimes forgetting about building the brand, which in today's market could almost be more important. People could almost look past the user experience a little bit if they feel like the brand is the brand,
Yeah, exactly. So what we do with that, we want to make sure that, since babysitting is such an intimate thing and it's a babysitter, it's a person coming to your house taking care of your kid, we want to make the parent feel as, safe and comfortable as possible. So we always talk to the parent before and after the job. We talk to the student. We have a student like Usitters group that we, establish a community within the Usit babysitters. So we want Usit to be more of a community as well. And that's how we establish ourselves. We want to listen to their, their problems, their suggestions. And that's what we're doing to really make it not just like a company. We want it to be a community of people. And that's what we're doing so far.
That's awesome. So you're kind of acting as like the open ears for people to tell you their problems, and you're going to facilitate that solution. Well, that's cool. For each time we do these podcasts, I try to like figure out, because you're in your app world and babysitting world, and like there's certain things that you do that any entrepreneur or business could take from that, and maybe they have to change the structure a little bit, but more often than not, what you're doing in your world, someone who's also opening a restaurant could do something as well. Just like, finding the first 1,000 users and code messaging them. That seems super scary to do, but you did it and it worked. And now you have 3,000 plus users. That's awesome. So what's next for Usit? I mean, I just keep going back to you leaving your job on March 30th, which is like 7 days ago. And and taking that leap, like it makes me so excited that I almost have trouble talking about it. Because I remember when I took my leap, and I said this the other day, I was like, I jumped off the dock without the boat being there. And for the first 6 months, I only worked like 2 video jobs that were like really low pay. But I saved up money. I kind of knew that I would be okay for at least the first year, as long as my living situation stayed the same. So, all that to say that someone who has just started full time into their business, I just want to like dive into your emotion. Like, how are you feeling? Is it scary? Do you have savings?
It's like a bunch of different emotions at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm like, after quitting, I realized like I'll put in like 100 hours a week for this. I'll work more than like a 9-to-5 job to make this grow.
Yeah.
And for Usit, what's next, since I am full-time and since I am dedicated to it 100%, we want to get funding. We want to expand our services. We want to make the app more user-friendly and more, available to people outside of the metro Atlanta area, in the suburbs where like a bunch of families are staying as well. And that's what's next for us. Just grow our platform and grow outside of the small, Decatur, Buckhead, and Midtown, where we're mainly, where our services are mainly being used.
Yeah.
And just keep at it. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But right now, people like the app. People are using it. People, it's changing some parents, the way they do things. They get to go on more date nights. They get to, run more errands. They don't have to worry about getting a babysitter or planning weeks in advance. So that's really what we want to do for, the outside of Atlanta as well.
Well, speaking of funding, I mean, everyone knows that developing an app is super expensive. So how have you managed developing it so far? Are you just kind of cash flowing it through your own savings? Did you get a first round of funding? Or?
So right now it's just self-funding and family and friends. But now we're taking it to the next level. If we want to bring a lead developer, if we want to expand our development team, if we want to start really marketing more than we've been doing free marketing so far. It's like direct marketing, flyers, things like that, partnerships, going to events. But now we really want to do, paid marketing too. And that'll really help us grow our user base. And that requires funding. So we've been bootstrapping a lot to really, since it is self-funded, but now taking it to the next level, we are looking for funding.
So how are you preparing yourself to go into that first round or that pitch and get that first round?
We're talking to a lot of different people just to see what we need to do. We've done a lot of pitches. We've done Startup Runway, that competition. It's like one of the biggest like Southeast pitch competitions. And we were top 10 in that. So we got to pitch there. We've done just a bunch of different pitches, and that's really helped prepare us. So now it's just about trial and error.
So if I'm a parent, I don't have kids, so it's hard to relate. I have a dog, so you need like a dog sit app. No, so if I'm a parent and I decide I want a date night right now, but the babysitter I've used through the app the last 8 times isn't available. Does that parent get kind of discouraged and like, okay, maybe I'll just wait till my babysitter's?
So we've interviewed a couple of parents through the app. We've done a lot of surveys for our users. And what we see is a majority of parents want, they want to experience a Usitter. They want to increase their network of babysitters because odds are your other babysitter won't always be available. And that's why, we have Usit. So, if your full-time nanny cancels on you or your family friend sitter cancels on you, you'll have Usit and you'll be able to find a reliable, like bright sitter for your, young one. And that's why, we have college students, because their schedules are flexible and at the same time, they won't always be available all the time. So that's why, we get multiple applicants to apply to jobs, and parents are really surprised because they post it within a second and they get applicants within minutes.
That's awesome. What I'm hearing is that you're just like all about information. You want to gather as much information, which in turn is education, whether it be through college or through cold emailing and cold calling and getting that advice and that feedback. And I guess that's kind of like the biggest thing I'm taking away is that, not only do you want to educate your users on your app on both sides, parenting and the babysitter, but you want to educate yourself, your partner, anyone who's going to put funding towards you. And I think that, like I said, I think that's like the biggest takeaway is like just gather as much information as possible and keep yourself and those around you educated on what's going on. So my wife babysat like all through high school. Even she may have started like middle school, I don't know, but all through high school, I know she babysat to make, and she made decent money doing it. And then in college, she had full-time in college. She had one full-time job, part-time job, and babysit.
Oh, wow.
In college as well. And I'm like wondering if this existed, if she could have just done full-time like babysitting. She went to Columbus State in South Atlanta.
That's awesome. I mean, there's been students who've made like over $1,000 a month on the app.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
they're really, there's a lot of students that just babysit and they're like our top babysitters, and really that's what they do on the weekends or on days they don't have class. And it's really helped them. Without Usit, they wouldn't be able to get as many gigs and meet as many families in the area. So it's really benefited them.
Yeah.
And we want to help more students. We want to help them because a lot of students, like, it's good money for them to either they need to pay off their student loans, or they need that extra cash on the side, and they just can't find babysitting gigs like they did in high school with family friends. It's different when you're in college in a different state. It's harder to find.
In a different town, or even if the college is in your own town, there's so many different people that's a good point. Well, I mean, you have a student making $1,000 a month, and I'm sure several students are making that. How did you make sure that you were going to be taken care of, though, when you decided to go full time? Since Usit has existed, did you have kind of a payment structure or like a salary structure set up always with going full time in mind?
So we did not. We still don't. So how the company makes money is we just take a small fee, an additional 9% fee from the parent side. And then we take a $2.99 fee from the students for every job they complete through the app. So it's a small fee that, we can pay for our company expenses through that, but we can't pay for our own salary yet. But it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. And it motivates me. It's like, okay, this is how many users we need to get for me to even get a salary. So it's definitely like a sacrifice you have to make with startups, because, a lot of startups, especially tech startups, don't make money, don't even have a revenue stream in the first couple of years. So.
They know how to raise a ton of money, but not make money, which is an issue with startups these days. Well, I feel like it's a great app, and it's a great opportunity for college students to make extra money. And I mean, even just to have a little breathing room as a college student, and especially those students without, scholarships or anything like that. So I think you're filling a need in a market. I can see why plenty of college students would use it. And it's also like they can work around their schedule. And I really like the look of the app too. I got on the App Store and I was scrolling through it. So the look of the app is great. Your developer is doing an amazing job.
Awesome.
You guys are doing an amazing job. I love it. It was super nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And just give us like where to find you as we close out, like on Instagram or email, whatever you want to give.
Yeah. So you can follow, we're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can follow us. It's Usit, USIT_app on Instagram and Twitter. And on Facebook, it's Usit mobile app. So definitely check us out. We're big Insta people, and Twitter. We tweet a lot. So I think you guys will like what you see.
Is Twitter dying?
No, it's not.
It's not?
It was dying. I think it's getting up there ever since Trump is on.
Trump has brought publicity to it.
That's
an interesting subject. That's amazing. Well, yeah. So guys, go follow them on all of those platforms and keep in touch. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Late Night Startup Show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Leave us a review, subscribe. This will help us keep bringing you this content and get you to meet every entrepreneur that we can bring on the show. And you and I were talking beforehand that you may have some connections that we can bring on more people. And that's just like the amazing thing about this is it makes me so excited to just get to meet new people. And I say this often, like I'm kind of a little more like introverted usually, so like doing this is like super out of my comfort zone.
That's
but
awesome.
I'm getting a little more used to it. But it's one of those things, like just do something outside of your comfort zone, because that's how you're going to build your network. I mean, even developing your app, it's like, this is scary, but we're doing it. So
it's all out of my comfort zone. But
so any last bit of advice or tips or just anything that you want to say, kind of like just close it out.
Who am I talking to? Am I talking to like
whoever,
anyone, audience, customers,
anyone.
Yeah. So if you guys have kids, if you need a babysitter, definitely check out Usit. talk to me, email admin@usit.care if you have any questions, and follow us on social media.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. And guys, be sure to tune in next time.